Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be bringing to you the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So that's going to be AEW Dynamite and WWE SmackDown. Going to try my best to get through it all in one go, but we'll see. Definitely very mixed bag for the rest of the week. I'll get into it in a minute. But yeah, I'll let you know. So we're gonna start today with AEW Dynamite. We kick off with Kenny Omega, the current international champion, taking on Blake Christian. Blake Christian has been mostly on ROH lately, and we do get a little video package of that, which is, I love they're doing this now. And this was it was definitely an interesting back and forth, but yeah, this was the Kenny Omega show, finishing us off with the V-Trigger and the One-Winged Angel in a short, I don't want to say squash match, because that wasn't really what it was. It was an enhancement match. So then, Kenny Omega, post-match, calls for the microphone. Ring attendant gives it to him. Gets on the mic, says, "What's going on? Unfortunate, I don't get to wrestle every week like I thought I would. But when I come here, I'll make it quick. TK, our boss, had no choice, but it's going to be a different story on come Dynasty, because I got two of the best coming at me. I got Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey." This brings out Speedball Mike Bailey to the arena. He's in his gear, gets in the ring, says, "Kenny Omega, congratulations." He continues, "I wanted to say you're an inspiration to me. I admire you as a wrestler and a person. But come Dynasty, I won't hold back when I kick your head clean off your shoulders and take your title." So, nice short and sweet promo from Speedball Mike Bailey. He has definitely gotten better on the microphone. When I last saw him in TNA, he was a little awkward. Now he seems to be getting it a little bit more. Then we get on location with Ricochet. He's not in the arena, but he's like, I guess he filmed this before he was going to get married. So he's like, well, he's not walking the aisle yet, but he's in his nice suit. He's ready to go. He looks great. Anyway, so he shows up on the Tron, says, "I ought to slap you to think either one of you two are walking out of Dynasty with my title. I'm going to show you and become the new world international champion. And Ricochet's going to leave with gold." He continues, "Congratulations are in order. It's not. This isn't about me making friends." Oh no, this is Omega now. He says this to Bailey, saying, "This isn't not about making friends, but as big of a piece of shit as he is, the only one thing I have time for, and that's my legacy." And Speedball, welcome to AEW. Now I bid you all adieu, and gonna say goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang. I love that catchphrase so much. I don't usually cover the catchphrases because they're kind of pointless, but that one from Kenny Omega, I always love. It holds a very special place in my heart. We then get some highlights from Slam Dunk Sunday Collision with Bandito getting his brother, not hologram, Gravity's mask back from Chris Jericho. Then we get a backstage promo from the Learning Tree, with Jericho taking the lead, saying, Bandito, congratulations. You took Gravity's mask from us. Now we're going to discuss some ugly truths. I've been here too long, and I'm sick of asking you guys to prove yourself. I'm going to make some changes, and you're going to go out there and prove yourself one last time. So then, Big Bill and Brian Keith walk off. He continues, Bandito, you got Gravity's mask back. Well, I want yours. So at Dynasty, it's going to be the ROH title versus your mask. You think it's worth it? I think it is. So here are some stakes for this little feud. And I know people are a little tired of Jericho. I definitely am too. But to put stakes on this match like that definitely adds a little intrigue to the matchup. Then we go back to in-ring stuff, but then it's an in-ring promo from Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. He gets on the microphone and says, much like MJ's Michael Jordan's legacy, it's more important than Prince's. My words are more important than all of yours, so shut the hell up. Crowd starts booing again. Max then says, MVP, I've been looking at this card for 2 weeks straight now. I want to give you my answer face to face. So this brings out MVP. He gets in the ring. MJF then says, one thing we can agree on, MVP. You're a living legend. And is that a new cane? I like that. That looks very debonair. MJF then continues seriously, saying, after everything that's happened with Cole, I'd promised myself I'd never do friends again. But you don't do friends, do you? You do business. So I've made my decision. I'd like to be in the business of hurting people. And MJF and MVP go to shake hands. Out comes Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. So Lashley gets in the ring. He hands his title to MVP. He extends his hand. MJF is thinking he's willing to shake. Then Lashley's like, no, give me the card. So MJF hands him the Hurt Syndicate business card. Tears it right in half. They have a little bit of a stare down. And then you hear MVP kind of on microphone saying, no, we're cool, we're cool, we're cool. So MJF bails out of the ring. Then he walks to the back. Walking in are Big Bill and Brian Keith. With Brian Keith saying, look at that. Apparently hurt people do in fact hurt people. Big Bill then takes the microphone and says, we're not here to join you. Get your little... And then MVP says, get your little bitch on a leash. That's for Brian Keith. Big Bill then says, I see you guys with those tag titles, but I don't see any challengers. MVP then chimes in, me either. Big Bill continues, with that cane here, I can't tell if you're a businessman or a pimp. MVP then kind of smirks and says, be careful or I'm going to sick my guys on you. Big Villain says, didn't we already establish who the bitch is? So then Big Bill continues, I was once a tag team champion. My partner, Ricky Starks, is the one who got pinned. And we're here to prove ourselves. We're going to take those titles. MVP replies, you want the shot? you're going to have to win a match first, and then we'll see. So then, Hurt Syndicate walk by. Big Bill and Brian Keith have a little stare down. I would have liked to see the Murder Machines get the shot, but, Big Bill and Brian Keith with their association with Jericho on the line, I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't know. Then we get a Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa interview. They're going to be our main event for later. With Rosa saying, well, you guys are so young and free. Everything has changed. And while I want what I never lost, the games are over. And I hope you're ready for some thunder. And before Rosa can get Storm out, Toni Storm yells out, Thunder Tits! Oh, brother. I love Timeless Toni Storm. So then Toni continues with the promo saying, I hope you ladies strap in. You're in for a bumpy night. Which, the innuendo from Timeless Toni Storm is just lines up so well with her character. It's great. Then we get into our next match of the night, and oh boy, it was a doozy. As we have Brody King taking on Kyle Fletcher. This is Fletcher's first match since the cage match. I was kind of hoping he'd take maybe another week off, because, that bump was nutty. But, this was an awesome match. You have Brody's size and just overpowering of Fletcher at times. But then Fletcher would get out of it after some finesse. A bunch of super kicks, too. Like, damn. Near the end, we see Brody King attempt a Baldo bomb. That gets countered out by Fletcher into a pile driver, which he was trying to hit on King all match. Finally hits it, only gets a 2 count. Brody King has then completely overpowers Fletcher again. This brings Don Callis up on the apron to distract the referee. Then as Brody King is attempting a cannonball, Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher's tag partner, moves Fletcher from the corner, slides him back in. Fletcher attempts a superplex, but that gets blocked. Brody King with the Death Valley driver from the middle rope. But then Mark Davis distracts the referee long enough for Fletcher to get his act together and hit a brainbuster to pick up the win. Oh, that was... If there's one match you watch this week, I think it's this one. This was a great match. Post-match, pretty much the entire Callis family starts beating down on poor Brody King. Out comes Powerhouse Hobbs to make the save, which leads us into our next match, as it's Mark Davis versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And this was pretty much Meat Mountain match. It's all I can say about it. It was two meaty men slapping meat, with each guy going for their big move, with eventually Powerhouse Hobbs hitting the big old spine buster. And then Hobbs looks to the outside, sees Don Callis sitting on commentary, and he runs Callis off into the distance. So, we can have an alliance with Hobbs, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, because that could be fun. We then go backstage for a Patriarchy interview, although it's mostly just Nick Wayne talking, which, very interesting, with him stating, I'm starting to understand things now, but I'm going to wait until I see Cage to say what I want to say. But last week was the clearly how to properly execute a plan. Nick Wayne face turn. Didn't see that one coming. Then we kind of get a start of a Hangman Page interview in another part of the arena. But then Swerve just waltzes in saying, say you're going to be in the Owens. Say you're going to interfere in my match. You know what I'm capable of. And then Nana pulls him away and they walk off. So that rivalry isn't over. Ooh, that should be a fun one whenever they lock up again. In which it should be for the AEW World title. I'm going to say that right now. So next we get a pre-recorded interview with Rated FTR. So that's with Adam Copeland, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. And they're talking about Dax Harwood's reaction to Cope losing to Mox on Dynamite a few weeks ago. So, we're about to hear from Copeland, but Dax interrupts saying, look, I feel like I need to address this. Last week I let my emotions get the better of me. Cash and I took a break from the tag titles to help Copeland. He didn't get the job done, but I feel like you pulled us away from the tag titles. We helped you against the Death Riders. You took your eye off the prize. We all let our emotions get the better of us. But no, you're my best friend. And without either of you, I'd be nothing. You gave me chances. You want us to be on the same page. We assisted Cope with his goal. Now we need to focus on the tag team titles. So that was Dax. This is Cash now saying, that's a good idea. But what if the three of us go challenge the Death Riders for the trios titles? Cope is like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do it. April 6th, Death Riders versus Rated FTR for the trios titles. And then Dax tries to sign off with his top guys out sign off. But then Cash is like, Rated FTR out. So, yeah, definitely some bumps in the road for Rated FTR. Are we about to see a breakup of one of the best tag teams on the planet? I kind of hope not, but they kind of done already all they can do as a tag team. Although I wouldn't mind them having a trios run. Those trio titles definitely need some elevating. So anyway, then we go back into the ring for a Swerve Strickland promo. Everybody's hyped. Gets on the mic, says, everybody knows why I'm here. I'm here for Jon Moxley. And I want him to look me in the eye when I say what I want to say. So Jon Moxley comes out. He's on his own. He doesn't even have the case with the title in it. Gets in the ring. Gets face to face with Swerve. Swerve says, I've been allowing these things to go on for far too long. I like to give people enough rope to hang themselves. But you do nothing but hide behind your Death Riders. And you have the nerve to say no one is worthy of the championship. Then Mox chimes in saying, I can't even look at it anymore. Every time you had a... oh, no, this is still Swerve. Every time you had a defense, you just got by. And everything that used to describe Mox describes me now. So then Mox brings the microphone to his mouth, But before he says anything, Claudio Castagnoli, through the crowd, is now standing right behind Prince Nana. So they're kind of in a, don't want to say Mexican standoff, but in a hostage situation. So then Mox looks to the outside. Swerve turns around and sees him. Then Mox finally speaks, saying, "Okay, all that sounded great, but you're not talking about me. I'm talking about you. Who are you really? I know what you are, but I'm talking about what you could be. I gave you the chance and become everything you can. Ask yourself how far you're willing to go, and are you willing to hold this weight on your shoulders, being a world champion? Are you willing to take others with you? I say you haven't suffered enough yet. My sport has been taken over by billionaires and kids who rather talk through filters. But you give me hope. And while I don't give out handouts, I'm willing to go all the way right now. And while you're the most dangerous man in AEW, right?" And then we see Marina Shafir slide in behind Swerve Strickland. But then Willow Nightingale comes out. She's holding a steel chair, kind of mean-mugging Shafir for a little bit. Swerve gets back on the mic saying, "It's clear you don't have any brains anymore, because you haven't faced anyone smarter than you. I am the most dangerous man in AEW. I'm going to take back my AEW World title. I hope you had fun playing Jon Moxley on TV." So Shafir and Claudio looks like they're about to head out. Mox starts to follow, but then Willow and Marina Shafir just start brawling. Claudio starts to get between them and pulls Marina Shafir outside of the ring. So it looks like we're going to have a bit of a mixed tag team match this week with Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir taking on Swerve and Willow, which, not a bad idea for a match. So then we get like a backstage skit, I'm going to call it, with the Ops. So we get on camera Hook and Samoa Joe with Shibata holding the camera. So Joe says to Hook, "Ask yourself, last week you took your time. What happened?" Hook turns to Joe, says, "It's just fine. He's an annoying dude, and he's fun to choke out." We then walk down the hall a little bit. We see Max Caster talking with Top Flight and AR Fox about how over he is. I assumed he was trying to recruit him. Shibata with the camera then gets behind Top Flight and Fox. Caster then finally sees him and says, "Oh, hey Shibata, what's up?" He then gets choked out from behind by Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe eventually lets him go as he just slumps to the floor. He looks over to Hook and says, "All right." They then high-five each other, says, "Watch out for him." And the two of them walk off. Then Shibata's, text-to-speech thing goes off. I didn't quite hear what was said, but I assume it was something funny. We then get a really awesome Dynasty hype video. AEW is getting so much better with hype videos and vignettes and stuff like that. They're definitely upping their production, which is awesome to see. Then we get a Jay White interview in which I missed some of it, but he pretty much says, yeah, I'm going to be in the Owen Hart, and then I'm going to be on Collision to take any challenge, in which he wrestled Kevin Knight, which he's all elite now. So, yeah, definitely an interesting series of events. Next up, we got Top Flight taking on Alex Findlay and Devin Knight, aka Enhancement Talent. Although this was less than a squash match than I thought it was going to be, because the opponents definitely got some stuff in. But eventually Top Flight wins with the crossover frog splash from Dante Martin, which that was baller as heck, to pick up the win. We then get a Will Ospreay vignette hyping his return to Dynamite next week, which, yes boy, didn't mean to do Pretty Deadly there. We then go into our next matchup, as it's Mark Briscoe taking on Konosuke Takeshita. And this was just chaotic fun. These are two heavy hitters trading blows, and just honestly, it felt like they were legit trying to beat the tar out of one another. Near the end, Mark attempted a froggy bow, but that missed. Attempts a J Driller that gets blocked by Takeshita into a couple elbows, a big boot, and then a suplex. Briscoe attempts a Uranagi that gets blocked. They trade suplexes for a while. Takeshita hits a big knee, only for a 2. Whiffs on the roaring elbow. Briscoe hits the J Driller for a 2 count. Takeshita attempts the Burning Hammer, but that gets blocked. Into an elbow, a rolling elbow, and then a Raging Fire driver to pick up the win. These two had some awesome chemistry. I'd like to see another round of these two having a match, because it was a thing of beauty. So next up, we're backstage in some hallway somewhere with Pac, Claudio, and Yuta saying, Rated RKO, FTR, you want the trios titles? Cope, you tried to rip me from my family. When going gets tough, you fight. Your arrogance is hard to stomach. You challenge us, and that's not how things work. So then this is Claudio now saying, we challenge you to survive the Death Riders. So, nice interesting promo from the Death Riders. And it's about time the trios titles get defended on pay-per-view again. It has been far too long. Then we see the Hurt Syndicate. They're walking around backstage with with Shelton Benjamin talking to MVP saying, you told us to take our vacations, and now you're in with MJF. MVP then says, we've been talking about adding a 4th member. I made my move. Lashley then says, well, I don't like him. He's grimy and can't be trusted. MVP then says his quality could help our business. But let's put that on the back shelf. We're clear on the Big Bill situation. Then Lashley says, let's hurt people. So, Hurt Syndicate back on the same page, talking about adding a fourth member. I wonder which former member of the WWE roster was the original fourth member of the Hurt Business. Yet Cedric Alexander. Of course it's going to be Cedric. Anyway, next up we got our main event of the evening, and it's tag team action players, as we have Penelope Ford teaming up with Megan Bayne, in which I don't fully understand this tag team, but it does feel a bit random, but it kind of works. As they take on Thunder Tits, that's Thunder Rosa and Timeless Toni Storm. And I'm going to say this, Bay and Rosa have some great chemistry. Like, Rosa trying to overpower Bane, but Bane too powerful. So instead she uses a bit more finesse, uses her speed a little more. Seeing her adjust on the fly is why I really love Thunder Rosa. Eventually she does tag in Timeless Toni Storm. And Toni, I'm going to say this, Toni and Ford do have some good chemistry too. There were some little off things, like Ford kind of missing on a handspring elbow. But eventually we do get in Bane and Toni, and they just start whooping on each other. Like, this was a wild back and forth between these two powerhouses. Eventually we see Megan Bayne attempt a big pump kick to the corner, but Toni moves so that it hits Penelope Ford on the apron. Attempts a roll-up, only gets a 2. Then Megan Bayne with a face to set to pick up the win for her team. I love how Megan Bayne is being presented. She now has a pretty significant win over the women's champion. So, yeah, we'll see what happens at Dynasty. That match should be a lot of fun. So, that was AEW Dynamite. Definitely a lot better than it's been. Well, it's actually been really good lately. I'm going to say this. If you haven't at least been checking out Dynamite week to week, I'd say now is a pretty darn good time to get back into it. Especially if you've fallen off. And next up, we got WWE SmackDown 3-hour edition back. Oy. So we see Cody Rhodes. He arrives at the arena. He's walking in the back. Goes through Gorilla. Music hits. We have a Cody Rhodes promo, where he says, at WrestleMania, I'll be facing John Cena as he goes to break Ric Flair's record. That's at WrestleMania. In a few nights, I'll be standing face to face with Cena. And before he can say anything else, out comes Randy Orton. These two guys definitely got a lot of history. I know there was a couple people who wanted Randy to challenge Cody, but I think we'll see that down the line somewhere. So, Randy gets in the ring, gets on the mic, says, I'm not really the sentimental type, but screw it. Look at you. Look at the man who you are now. And look at where he came from. I remember Cody Rhodes in his early 20s, busting his ass to get into the business. And while you were not exactly happy, you knew you needed to grow outside of WWE. That took some balls to leave and do what you did. And it changed the game. I knew you would come back eventually, but I didn't know what to expect. I remember when you faced Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell, with your partially torn tech, which post-match turned into a full tech. Your body turned a certain shade of purple I haven't seen before on a human body. But you stuck it out. You finished your story. But there's always another story coming. You're in charge of your own legacy. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm very proud of you. But it's time for WrestleMania, and I can guarantee you I'm going to kick Kevin Owens' head in. And I can't wait to remove his head from his shoulders. And you're going to beat the holy hell out of Cena. And after everything is done, it's time I got my 15th. Kind of pointing at the WWE title. Then he continues, and unlike Cena, I'm not going to kick you right in the balls. I'm going to hit you right in your face. And I'm telling you, I'm coming for this. Pointing at the WWE title again. Then out comes Drew McIntyre, throwing his name into the ring. And he says, look at this. A couple of Nepo babies having a love fest. What have you done to justify this title match? There's more people talking about my reign than your comeback. You should have listened to me, Cody. About Cena, he proved me right as usual. It should be Cody versus Drew at WrestleMania, but because of Priest, I'm going to talk about what needs to happen. And it's not going to be you, it's going to be Drew McIntyre. So Orton cuts in and says, hey man, we're trying to have a moment here. Cut the BS. Drew then says, Kevin Owens might have a point. Thinking Orton looks great on the outside, but on the inside, you're hanging on by a thread. How's your back feeling? So then Cody with a big old uppercut to Drew's chin. Randy goes for an RKO, but it gets blocked by Drew, who pushes him off and takes off to the back. So, a nice little interaction and perhaps a tease of what's to come in the near future, which I'll admit I'm excited for a Drew Cody program, or maybe even a Drew Orton Respect program. Either way, I'm into it. Then we see the Street Profits. They're getting ready for their tag match in the back. Then we see announced for later on tonight, we got getting Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, which I haven't seen that match in a while, and yeah, I'm definitely pretty hyped for it. But next up, we got the WWE Tag Team titles on the line as Pretty Deadly take on the Street Profits. And honestly, the chemistry between these two teams is so good. I honestly keep forgetting how good Pretty Deadly is in the ring. And they keep proving me, we're more than just this silly gimmick. We're actually some pretty darn good wrestlers. Anyway, they pretty much hit each other with their biggest moves, including Pretty Deadly couple times hitting the catapult. Catapult code breaker, I'm going to be calling it. But then Dawkins actually at one point catches it, gets his opponent up in the electric chair position, tags in forward. They go for the Doomsday. They hit the Doomsday Blockbuster to win and retain their titles. So, yeah, very fun match, very entertaining. I'm wondering how this would set up WrestleMania, because honestly, I thought Pretty Deadly would be involved, but now I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, we get a segment where Zelina Vega, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter, good to see them back, by the way. And they're in some, library or something. I don't even know what that was. They're talking about the comeback. They're talking about needing to get some recognition. In comes Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven. With Vega saying to Green, look, I know I'm small, but it took all three of you to beat me. Let's see how it goes when the odds are even. And Green agrees to it. All three have a stare down. Now, what I thought was going to happen is we're going to see a six-man. But we'll see that in a minute. But first, we see the next inductee to the WWE Hall of Fame. Except it's not a person, it's a match. It's the Bret Hart-Steve Austin match from WrestleMania 13. And I'm going to say this. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, what's next? Are they going to induct Mr. Sacco? Or Jimmy Hart's microphone? No, they're not going to do that. Look, I get it. Inducting inanimate objects or moments, it's a little cheesy, but honestly, I'm okay with it. UFC has been doing this for years now with their Hall of Fame. Why not put some really darn good matches in? Then we see in the parking lot, big black SUV rolls up. We see Paul Heyman get out. And then we see him cross in front of the SUV, meet up with Roman Reigns right out front as they're ready for their contract signing. We'll get to that piece of business a little later. But first, we get Katana Chance and Kaden Carter in their first match back from, I think it was Chance who was injured. I'm not 100% sure. Taking on Alba Fire and Piper Niven of the Secret Service. That's Chelsea Green's Secret Service. Which, it's a fun gimmick. They come out wearing, Secret Service outfits. And honestly, I'm going to say this. I've missed watching Chance, Carter, and Fire wrestle. Because they are absolutely underrated. And, some really good back and forth moves, including a crazy Samoan drop from Carter to Piper Niven. Carter and Chance then hit the keg stand, which is a great move. Only gets a 2 count. Piper Niven with a big old cross body. Carter tacks in, hits a couple of super kicks. Then Greek gets on the apron, distracts the referee. And Piper Niven grabs Carter, hits a Piper driver for the win for the Secret Service. I am so happy they're going all in on this Secret Service gimmick. It's going to be interesting. So post-match, we got a little beatdown on Carter and Chance. Zelina Vega attempts to make the save, but the numbers are too great. Green attempts an unpretty her, but that gets blocked. Vega attempts a code red, that gets blocked. With Green, Piper Niven eventually hitting a big senton to finish the segment. So, I'm not 100% sure where this is going. Maybe it's going to be a multi-person, 6-man tag. Although I do wish the Women's United States title would be on the line. I wouldn't mind against Vega or Chance or Carter. But either way, it was a fun match. Interesting angle to set something up for the future. And speaking of setting up stuff for the future, we got the United States title on the line as LA Knight, defends against Braun Strowman. And Strowman pretty much overpowers LA Knight at every chance he got. Attempts the Strowman Express, but LA Knight moves, so Strowman hits the announce table. They get back in. Knight attempts a BFT that gets blocked into a gigantic hip toss. Strowman with a clothesline over the top rope. Once again attempts the Strowman Express. But as he's turning the corner, runs right into who else but Jacob Fatu. So that ends the match. So still your United States champion, LA Knight. Then Fatu with a big old attack on Strowman, including a Samoan drop into the announce table. LA Knight tries to fight back with a BFT, but then Fatu counters it into a pop-up Samoan drop. Then he sets his sights back on Strowman, hits a couple of hip attacks, and a couple of moonsaults to end the segment. This United States title feud has been going on like this for a while now. It's time to stop with the interferences and let's get to that next step. Anyway, next up we get a recap of Jimmy Uso issuing the challenge for Gunther for next week's Raw. I'll cover that one in a bit. That one was interesting. So then we get a Jimmy Uso interview saying, I'd do it all again. Jay is in Gunther's head, and Gunther can be got. Jay is going to bust Gunther's ass and become the World Heavyweight Champion. So as the interview ends, Jimmy walks off a little bit, runs into The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, in which WWE, get Hayes away from The Miz, like far away. So Miz says to Jimmy, saying, it's funny, think you're a tough guy and not just an Uso. You're nothing more than a side character who can't get in the club. You will never know what it means to carry this industry. Then Jimmy goes for the slap he did to Gunther. Miz kind of takes it back. So Jimmy says to Miz, I got Gunther on Monday, but tonight I need to let off some steam, so I'm going to go to Nick Aldis and set up a match between you and me tonight. We then get a recap of Naomi's attack on Jade Cargill, including her attacks, her recent reveal that it was her who attacked Jade, which we'll get to in that promo in a little bit. Then we see Jacob Fatu. He's seething a little bit. He's wiping his brow down. He runs into Solo and Tama Tonga, with Solo saying, what was that out there? If you needed backup, you should have waited for us. Jacob then says, you two got into my business. I'm going to hold how I speak. Solo then says, you better hold how you speak to me. Jacob then says, I want to be very, very clear. When it comes to Braun Strowman, it's last man standing, and I'm going to bring home the United States title with or without you. Yeah, this breakup is going to be interesting, man. Then we see a Naomi promo. She's sat in like a... what looks like... it kind of looks like the Firefly Funhouse, but it's like the reverse angle. So we're looking out like a window. It's definitely very not Naomi. But Naomi did so good here. So, Naomi's promo. Saying, how evil. I didn't want to do this. I'm always the woman who does the right thing. But the attack on Jade was me doing the right thing. After all I've done, it breaks my heart. Bianca, you don't understand how Jade comes out of it nowhere and takes my place. Who inspired you, Bianca? Who always had your back? Me, not Jade. And what I've learned? You teach people how to treat you. I'm done being underappreciated. And moving forward, I'm going to continue to be... If you continue to be in my way, you proceed with caution. This is what Naomi needed. As much as I like the Feel the Glow gimmick, this is what Naomi needed. A nice, interesting heel turn and a built-in story with Jade. Heck yeah, this is good. This is awesome. So then we see in the arena Nick Aldis and Jade, with Jade saying, look, I'm looking for Naomi. Nick Aldis says, look, I haven't seen her at all, but if I do, I'll send her your way. Jade then says, next time I see Naomi, it's on sight. So she walks off, runs into Michin and B-Fab, who are apparently a team, with Michin and B-Fab saying, look, you got your business to handle with Naomi, we got our business to handle with Charlotte, but no, we got your back. So, I guess we're making some new allies here. Trying to elevate some people up the card a little bit, which I'm fine with. We then get our newest tease to Aleister Black. And what looks like the numbers on the screen, looks like we're coming down to April 25th, which, SmackDown after WrestleMania? Not a bad time to re-debut this man. So next up, we get Michin versus Charlotte Flair. But as Michin and B-Fab are doing their posing, whatever the hell this is supposed to be, out of nowhere, Naomi attacks both of them from behind, slams B-Fab into the barricade and into the announce table. Jade Cargill comes out, chases off Naomi, and then helps B-Fab for the back. And then as Charlotte Flair is making her entrance, we see a little face-off between the two. Oh, that's... yeah, I'm in. So, Charlotte Flair gets in the ring, takes off her robe, immediately as the bell rings, hits a big old boot to the face, only gets a 1 count. And this turned out to be a better match than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be over in like seconds. But yeah, this was a fun one. I feel like this helped elevate Michin a little bit. And it didn't really hurt Charlotte Flair to be in this competitive matchup. A couple times Michin attempted Eat Defeat, but that got blocked by Charlotte. Charlotte then with a knee drop locks in the figure 8 to pick up the submission win. I'm going to say this. I've missed Charlotte Flair. She is an awesome worker. And she obviously knows what she's doing. So then we cut to the back in what looks like a bar area. Backstage with Tiffany Stratton. With her saying, people are talking a lot. Charlotte loves to hear herself talk. I don't have something to lose at WrestleMania. Because if I lose to Charlotte, I lose to a living legend. But if Charlotte loses, it hurts her. And I can't wait to hear the announcers say at WrestleMania, and with people saying what stays in Vegas is Charlotte's massive ego. That was such a good promo by Tiffany Stratton. Like, she needed this more than I think anyone else. We then get more Triple H Hall of Fame highlights. This time it's his match against The Rock at SummerSlam in that ladder match, which, honestly, I'm going to say this. WWE, you got a bunch of other Hall of Famers. You got Michelle McCool, who is an awesome wrestler. You got Lex Luger, the Natural Disasters. Hell, I think there's been rumors Ken Shamrock's going in. Let's get some highlights of some other guys. Like, god dang. Anyway, next up, we got Randall Keith Orton taking on Drew McIntyre. And these two guys looked like they wanted to kill each other. Like, this was a fun match. Really good back and forth. Orton doing his thing, hitting the draping DDT, setting up for the RKO when he turns to the ramp. And standing there is his WrestleMania opponent, Kevin Owens. He gets distracted by it, turns back around in the ring, eats a Claymore for the Drew McIntyre win. And then post-match, Kevin Owens drags Randy Orton to the outside of the ring and just starts beating him down, tossing him into whatever he can find. He goes for the pile driver on the announce table. That gets blocked by Orton, who trips him. Goes for the punt kick, but Owens gets bailed out. And then officials come out and hold Orton back as Owens escapes. So, yeah, I'm very surprised Drew McIntyre won that. We'll see what happens at WrestleMania. Because that Owens-Orton match could use a stipulation. We then get a hard date for the debut of Rey Fenix as he's coming to SmackDown next week. Oh, little Lucha Libre action. Can't wait for that. We then get the rundown of the rest of the card, which looks awesome. We then get the most pointless match I think I've ever seen. We get Jimmy Uso taking on The Miz. And this was not a good looking match. While the moves did seem crisp, it did not look good. Miz attempted a skull-crushing finale that gets blocked. Into a roll-up, only for a 2. Miz with his swinging DDT, I guess, only for a 2. Jimmy with a big clothesline, a super kick, and an Uso splash for your winner, Jimmy Uso, because he needs that before he gets destroyed by Gunther. Minor spoiler alert. So then Jimmy, post-match, gets on top of the announce desk, doesn't grab a microphone, instead grabs a headset from one of the guys on commentary and says, "Hey Gunther, I'm coming to get you. You will be downgraded from ring general to ring..." I don't know what he said. "And you will salute this." And he got the yeet as that segment ends. So, yeah, I guess that's fine for that. So next we see Drew McIntyre. He's walking around in the back, and he runs into Louis Capaldi, who is a local artist. Tells him how he's going to go get drunk and he's going to celebrate this match. And he's going to go to town. He opens like a side door. Standing on the other side is Damian Priest, who just beats the heck out of him. Drags him into the car park area. Tosses him into a car for a couple of times. Then they both get up on the hood of the car. Priest goozles Drew McIntyre and hits a South of Heaven right through the windshield of the car. That looked rough. That was... Honestly, I'm going to say this. That is exactly what this rivalry needed. Hopefully they can continue stuff like this into the future to build it up for their eventual WrestleMania match. So then we get a recap of the John Cena Cody Rhodes promo from Raw, which was really, really good. And then we get to our main event segment of the evening, and it's the WrestleMania contract signing between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. So Roman comes out first. Most of his entrance happens in picture-in-picture. So then he does the whole acknowledge me, which getting old at this point. So then Roman goes to sit down. He sees the two chairs on the same side. So Roman's like, Paul Heyman then moves one of the chairs to the head of the table. Roman sits down. Then he comments on the crowd singing, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, which is honestly really cool. Roman says, that's beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. So then they start singing. Roman continues, the biggest star on the planet came here for two reasons. To be acknowledged, check, and to sign this contract. He then takes the pen, signs it, and then while he's doing that, the crowd keeps singing along. Then you see Paul Heyman kind of singing too. Roman then moves the microphone to Paul Heyman's mouth. You hear Roman. That got me pretty good. So then Roman puts the mic back up to his mouth, saying, my efforts here are... And before he can leave, out comes Seth Rollins, one of his opponents. Crowd singing his song. He grabs a microphone, puts it to Paul Heyman's mouth, thinking he'd sing. Paul is just kind of mean-mugging him, which... That's hilarious. Seth then gets on the mic saying, you all have beautiful singing voices. Roman, why are you in such a hurry to leave? I came down... We have so much history in this building. We came down those stairs right there, ready to burn down the old guard and build the company in our image. There's been a lot of love, a lot of hate, but I can say we've accomplished our mission. You are, and before Seth can continue, Roman interrupts saying, you keep saying we. We died a long time ago. It's only been me. I've made this place better than we found it. And I'll tell you what this is Seth now. Let me tell you what I've done. My biggest mistake is not seeing the danger right in front of your eyes. You let Punk into the garden, and instead of letting me finish him off at MSG, I am now left to clean up your mess yet again. So Seth sits down, signs the contract, and before he can say anything else, out walks CM Punk. He's got some extra security with him. Gets up on the second turnbuckle, says, I have come here to chew bubblegum and sign a contract, and I'm all out of bubblegum. A They Live reference. Rest in peace, Hot Rod. So you see Punk sit down. He's rummaging through the contract. Then Roman chimes in saying, "What are you doing? This is TV today, kid. Wise man, smarten him up." So Heyman kind of kneels down right beside Punk, saying, "I know what you're looking for. It's in there. You're going to close the show at WrestleMania. You get to live your dream. You are a WrestleMania main eventer." And you can see Punk at that point. He's got some tears in his eyes. Crowd is going crazy. Then Roman chimes in saying, "Another man's dream is another man's promise." Then Seth, you can see he's fuming. He says on the mic, "He doesn't deserve it. It means more to me than anything in the world." So Punk then gets up, starts thanking the crowd. Roman chimes in again and he says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. The only person who you should be thanking is me. So have at it." So Punk turns around, gets down on one knee, says, "Thank you. Thank you, Roman Reigns, for this opportunity for me to live my dream." He goes on and on for a little bit. At that point, the credits are rolling, and I thought, okay, this is going to be something else. Punk then stands up, turns right to Roman, and says, "But that is not the deal I made with Paul Heyman." So there is more to this. So what I thought was going to happen is we're going to reveal, Heyman's promise to Punk was to put him in the main event of WrestleMania. So apparently there is more to this. So my guess is we're going to see a little later on, the winner of this match is going to move on to WrestleMania main event night 2, which is going to be Cena and Cody for the WWE title. That's my thought, at least. So, we'll see where this goes. This is definitely the shot in the arm this rivalry needed. And, I'm interested to see where it goes. So, that'll do it from me. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming Friday, going to be covering WWE Raw, NWA Power, and AEW Dynamite. Coming soon. We're getting there. Closer and closer to WrestleMania. I can't wait for it. I hope you can either. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.